War Eagle Auburn family, we have another reaction stream for you guys this evening. It is Auburn versus UNC Asheville. Your Tigers win by the score of 87-62 in Huntsville, of all places. We're going to offer up our thoughts and opinions about the stats, the action from the game, and of course, reactions from you as well. All that's coming up right here, right now. War Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, all the other places, times, venues, avenues that you can get this content, we appreciate you being here and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. For this live stream, we are doing a reaction of Auburn men's basketball versus UNC Asheville in Huntsville's Von Braun Center. Auburn wins 87-62, a convincing win for the Tigers on the road at a neutral site, which obviously is not much of a neutral site when it's in your home state, and it's not much of a neutral site when it's in Huntsville, which is probably one of the biggest Auburn hubs in the state. Is heavy on the engineers, which Auburn has a great engineering school, so you can imagine that it was very much an opportunity where Auburn could show its force in terms of how it shows up for its teams. And it very much did the same, just like it did in Indiana, mind you, at the Holiday Hoops Giving event. So again, shout out to the fans who were able to attend. It's one of those I wish I was able to attend, just because it's cool to support the state and do something like that in a place like Huntsville. Obviously, we'd love for you to start the stream off. Most of you know the drill, but let me remind those of you that may not. Smash the like button right now. Live, replay, whatever, do it for us. It is an easy way to help the show out. It's the free thing that you can do to help the show out. And of course, right now, what we'd also love for you to do, especially if you're watching live, post where you're watching from right now, your city, your state, international. I know it seems redundant, but that does help the chat get going. So go ahead and get your typing fingers ready and just type where you're watching from this evening. Share me your thoughts, your opinions. I will say, just kind of a housekeeping note, we'll probably keep this one on the shorter side because I know, first of all, it wasn't the most exciting game tonight, and most of y'all's minds are on football schedules, which we already did a reaction stream about that, and we'll do more content coming up about that. So check that out, that stream from earlier this evening, if you're wanting to talk about that or hear our opinions and reactions about that. For now, we will focus on Auburn men's basketball, 87-62. A well-rounded basketball game where everybody who saw the significant minutes contributed in. The lowest score tonight from all the significant minutes was 5, Lior Berman. And I felt like his name was called a lot more than actually shows up in the stat line tonight. And only 9 minutes of play, but everybody got involved. And here's the great thing, probably my biggest takeaway from a night where there's not the most exciting things to talk about other than a win. What I continue to be impressed about with this team is how every night it seems like, give or take a few, someone different is taking the reins and being the top scorer or the top person of the night. This was Trey Donaldson's night in terms of scoring, but in terms of who took maybe the show away, you could talk about KD and Dylan Cardwell, especially tonight. This is a very well-rounded, very good basketball team that's on the verge of being great. And I do not say that very often because I do not want to enter into hyperbole. This is a very good basketball team that we're talking about right now. How good? We will find out. Some other commentary I see before we say hello to everybody about the broadcast tonight. Yeah, I'll offer some opinions about that tonight. We got Drip Edits. We got WT, Kevin, Brian checking in. Devin's also checking in. Good to see you all here hanging out with us this evening. Points out that there's a 25-point win. Sorry, I got something in my eyes, guy. I don't know what's going on right here. A 25-point win over a tournament team. So this is last year's, talking about last year's tournament. And, they're probably expected, I would bet, to at least have an opportunity to make it again this year. Bruce is very good in his scheduling. When you play teams that you're supposed to beat, that you schedule very good ones. And so at least seemingly recently good ones. So this trend continues. It will not be the thing that someone points to on the Auburn resume and says, hey, man, look at that neutral site win they had over UNC Asheville. But it's still not an easy feat to go on the road, and even on a neutral site that may be a home site for you, and get a win against a potential and former tournament team. 87-62, probably 15-point spread is not indicative of how much it was in Auburn's control for the majority of the game tonight. And someone gave a shout out that the girls won as well. Yes, we want to shout them out whenever we can. WT already getting, he knows me too well, 12 for 15 on free throws. Let me confirm that on my stat sheet. Yep, 80% on the dot. Just where you need to be if you're a good basketball team. Did I not just say this is a good basketball team, folks? On the verge of being great. 2 nights or 2 games in a row where they're above 80% from the free throw line. That'll get you some basketball wins here. Let's see here. Devin says that was fun. Both teams looked a little discombobulated. Big word tonight on the stream. Start the game, but settled in. I guess playing on top of a hockey rink would throw you a little. Well, I believe, well, I was about to say in Atlanta, they're playing on top of a hockey rink, but they don't have a hockey team anymore. It's probably not the first time they've played in a venue like that. I think Auburn's sloppiness in the first half is probably more indicative of coming off a big energy win over Indiana and looking at that big matchup versus USC and Bronny James in Neville Arena this weekend. A trap game, maybe, but obviously didn't really affect the team. In fact, I would bet, given how the team responded in the second half, Bruce really made a point about that at halftime about, hey, you guys are stuck in kind of a trap game right now. Do you really want to have a repeat of App State? And granted, App State's a very good basketball team. We saw that firsthand with a good environment. But don't let this happen on, yes, a neutral site, but essentially what could be considered your home court. So let me talk about the broadcast. This isn't really about the game. For those of you that don't know, tonight on the TV stream, the SEC Network saw fit to give an opportunity to some, I would call them local, but they're the state of Alabama media personalities. I can't remember them all by name, so I won't start calling out the ones I do know, but they're from the Next Round Live. And look, I'll say this much. Wasn't my cup of tea to have them do the show, but I can imagine how excited they were to have this opportunity to do that. So I'm not going to sit here and dog them because if I was in their shoes, I'd be doing it the way I wanted to do it too. But it is definitely one of those nights where you probably, if you're just the general Auburn basketball fan, you wanted to switch over and sync up with the Andy Bertram broadcast tonight. Not my cup of tea. I understand why it was done and what some of the things they had to talk about, but it was a bit of a distraction at time. It kind of made the game less relevant too than it was feeling about there. David's here. Good to see you. Let's see. Lucio says Auburn was 11 in the Kim Pom, might bump up into the top 10. I don't know that a win at a neutral site, which is essentially a home court for you in Huntsville, would qualify to bump you up into even one spot, but it just depends on what shakes out with the rest of the basketball teams before the next one comes out. Now, I would assume Kim Pom doesn't come out like most rankings until the start of next week. I haven't kept up with when he brings his out, but if you beat USC, you will definitely move up in the top 10 tonight. Though I don't know if that's going to happen though. Big Steps, good to see you. Not knocking it. It was local. Great game. Yes. Listen, this was not a great game in the start of the first half for either team, even Auburn, especially Auburn. But I'm very happy with the way they responded and came out tonight. All right. So keep your comments and questions coming. But want to know maybe some of the things that stuck out to you tonight, whether it's a player, a moment, a thought you had, a question you had about this particular game. But what we'll start off with here is going through some of the stats. We'll start with individual stats. Your leader tonight, Trey Donaldson, gets up there at the very top, 15 points. His stat line, 6 for 8, 0 for 2 from the 3-point land, 3 for 4 from free throws, 2 assists, only 2 personal fouls, 1 turnover in 19 minutes of play, followed up by Chad Baker-Mazara, who probably looked for a little while like he was going to be the leading stat getter, 11 points. 3 for 3 from 3-point land, 100% on free throws. 7 rebounds, very close to a double-double for him. So he had a great night tonight. So those two right there are probably your highest candidates for player of the game. You could make a case for KD with 6 points, but he had a lot of big energy hype moments. You could also make a case for someone like Dylan Cardwell, as I look for his stats, 6 points tonight, but again, a lot of big energy moments. So let me give you that question. Who's your player of the game tonight? I know stats don't tell the whole story, but if you had to give a shout out to one particular player tonight as your player of the game, who would it be? WT says CBM is just amazing to watch. And we've talked about this a little bit on previous streams. He just looks like a basketball player, like your prototype basketball player. He is too lanky to be a guard, but he is not. When I say not big enough, that doesn't mean there's a deficiency there, but like not big enough to be a big man. He's just like right in the middle. He is just a basketball player. And you can see why he's so versatile. Tonight, shooting very well, getting up to the top or the second leading scorer tonight, but also getting a ton of rebounds. He can just do a lot of things. Defense, offense, probably the steal of the offseason for Coach Bruce Pearl, in my opinion, thus far. Shout out for Donaldson. Very much deserved for him tonight. I would agree. I'm a big fan of Trey. Other points scored tonight. Holloway with 7, Jalen Williams with 8. They both come back down to earth after their amazing game against Indiana. Janai Broom with only 6. 2 games in a row with Janai just being kind of pedestrian. But it doesn't really matter with the team handling it the way they did. Chris Moore, 6. Denver Jones, 9. And those were all of your starters I just read through at this point. Who else have we not talked about here? All the walk-ons got in. We said Leo Berman with 5. Chaney Johnson with 8. Good night for him. 100% from the free throw line as a big man is a good night too. So we'll give a little bit of a shout out to Chaney Johnson too. We haven't had an opportunity to call his name a whole lot, but he deserves that too. Big Sims says, can we get Katie to calm down during the celebrations before he hurts one of our players? He is rough. Again, KD is just one of those that you just kind of understand it is what it is. You get what you get with him. Sometimes it's going to hurt you, but more often than not, it hurts the other team. So you let him cook. You just hope he doesn't boil over and kind of burn you a little bit at times. I love me some KD, but I also understand the frustrations. Let's see. That's your individual stats tonight. Let's run through the team stats very quickly here, see if anything pops out. Shooting tonight, 53% from the field for Auburn, very much improved from that first half for the overall percentage, 3-point percentage, 33%, right? One out of every 3. And free throws, 80% tonight from Auburn basketball. First, one of the 3 areas that I always look to, free throws, 80% tonight. Turnovers, only 7 for Auburn to their 14. And then the other area is the rebounds, 26 for UNC Asheville, 36 for Auburn. Big old margin there. Obviously, if you win those 3 areas in my book, as I always talk about here on these streams, you win the game. And obviously that record holds true. It's not always that you win those games, but usually if you do a good job in those areas, you're going to end up winning the basketball game. A couple other things maybe to point out here tonight. Bench points tonight, 17 for 51. Even though we focus on those 3 areas of turnovers, free throws, and rebounds, we always look for that other big stat that tells the story of the game. Right there, bench points, 17 for UNC Asheville, 51 for Auburn. Ball was shared a lot tonight. The ball was spread out a lot tonight. And it showed with 19 assists for Auburn. Very good, well-rounded basketball. Points to the paint, you can make that case too, 28. UNC Asheville, and 50 for Auburn. Fast break points, 8 for 23. Auburn led in blocks, led in steals, just dominated in every category tonight that you want to as a good basketball team. WT says this team seems unselfish, and I'm loving the assist. It has been something that Auburn has done a pretty good job with some of their guards in recent past, but this year it's definitely stepped up a notch. I think this team just really enjoys playing together, and not to say they didn't last year or in previous years, but this seems to be a team that really feeds off of the successes of each other. more than they have in the past. And I think that's maybe attributing to why you see some of these assists. There's guys looking to be the guy that set up the guy, not just the point guards, not just the guards, but there's been some great passes from all around that are really showing how unselfish this team can be at times. We play well. My only gripe, we always stop momentum with dumb plays when it's not needed. Just calm down. I know that's Bruce's style of chaos, though. It's not so much chaos. My high school coach was very much the same way. He kind of just let us play, and that gave us a sense of freedom and unrestrictedness that came out in the best moments. It also can lend to some of the frustrations that you're talking about as fans. But you've got to know when to reel that in and when to let it loose. And I think tonight, once they had the game in hand, seemingly, you take your foot off the gas a little bit, and it can feel like that a little bit. So, all right. So we have talked about some of the storylines of the game. We're a lot to talk about. The individual stats, the team stats. We've talked about players of the game tonight. You could give it to a lot of people, but probably going to be Trey or Chad tonight. If there's any main points that we have not hit on this stream about this particular game, put them in right now. We're going to round out our show here in just a little bit. Don't run off, though. Let me give you a reminder about what's to come up soon here. Our next scheduled live stream that we have for you is Sunday night, 9 Eastern time, the last of our 2023 The Auburn Experience live recordings, kind of a big show end of the year. We'll talk about those schedules that have been released and many more things. Austin, myself, 9 Eastern time, right here, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. Don't miss it, because that's going to be our next scheduled live stream. It is recruiting season, so expect more of those videos to come out and plenty of other content. So subscribe, follow, everything across social media. If you can't find something somewhere, let me know. We might start doing it. And of course, check out the links in the description if you want to become a channel member here. You would be joining the Conquer Club and get some perks for yourself. $1 a month is all it takes. You can help support us here at E2C Network. Final comments, final questions, final derogatory rebuttals, last call for those in our post-game chat as we round things out tonight, kind of summarizing everything. Great, well-rounded game on defense, sharing the ball. A little sloppy in the first half, but really honed it in the second half. Put away a former tournament team, maybe going to be a tournament team again this year. Pretty good showing at a neutral site that is basically a home site. And I just, again, want to give a shout out and a hand to the Auburn family that showed up to support the team in Huntsville tonight. You guys continue to be the best little family within the Auburn family. I thank you guys so much for sitting here, hanging out with me on a late night after a basketball game that not a lot of people were excited about. We'll look forward to that next exciting one in USC coming to Auburn in Neville Arena. But until then, until we get to talk to you again, War Eagle.